welcome to my studio. I'm right now in Brussels, as you guys know, and I am half Costa Rican and half Dutch. I'm a writer and I'm also a textile artist. And today I want to share with you guys the story of my book. It's called The Heaviest Weight. This book was published 13 years ago, and it's now in its third edition, but it's the first time in English. So it's actually quite a big deal for me. And the reason why, I think it's so interesting to talk about the book or my story is because it's about my body image and my own story, story of body hate and body issues with myself. And actually, nowadays we have a term that didn't exist 13 years ago, and it's fat phobia. I was extremely fat phobic with my own body.
Mariana, I
Yeah.
don't want you to go into your presentation yet. Let's just wait for everybody to come back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't want you to have to repeat it. So let's just give everybody a few minutes. How many minutes before we start, Lauren?
We're supposed to start 3 minutes ago, but we can wait a few more minutes.
Okay. I love the way you launched right in there. Okay, so Mary, please formally introduce Mariana. Let's get started so we can stick to our time.
You know, my tech is also disappearing and I don't know what happened, but you're such a natural. So go right ahead and jump in. You were introducing yourself so naturally. I'm Mary Axness from Atlanta. Welcome, Mariana.
Hi, Mary. Thank you. So should I start now?
Go for it.
So hi guys, welcome to my studio. My name is Mariana den Hollander, and I'm a Costa Rican, half Costa Rican and half Dutch. I live in Brussels. I dedicate to textile art as well as a writer. And today I want to share with you guys my story, the story of my published book from 13 years ago. It's called The Heaviest Weight. And I wrote it when I was 25, 26. And it tells my story of how I lived with bulimia for 7 years. And it also tells the story of my story with fat phobia. In those days, the term fat phobia didn't exist, but now it does. And now I can, call it by its name. And this story tells my issues with my own body stigma, the stigma of living in a large body. And in Latin America, mainly growing up in a country where patriarchy is very much alive and where women are supposed to look, very thin, very beautiful, completely made up and ready to be sold in the market, basically. And, I grew up in a very progressive international family, and I went to an international school all my life. So it wasn't like I grew up with it at home, but society indeed has its way of getting into your head, especially when you're a young girl and you don't know any better. You don't know about Photoshop. And I really developed this bulimia in order as a way to control what I couldn't control, which was not only my issues with my body, but also what was happening around me, right? I also come from a very dysfunctional family, so I share that in the book as well. And then I share how I was able to make peace with my body through a method of self-questioning called the work of Byron Katie. I don't know if any of you guys know this method, but it really, I dug into it like if my life depended on it. And now that I look back on it, I think it really did. weight was not killing me, but the weight in my head, the weight of my thoughts, my own fat phobia, that was what was going to kill me at one point or the other. Because no matter how successful I was, no matter what a wonderful life I had, which I really did, I was a leader, I was always in the center of the group. And no matter how much of that I had, because of my self-loathing, I couldn't enjoy it. Nothing was ever enough, because the one problem I had in my life was I was fat. I was living in a fat body. So back then in 2007, I published the book for the first time, and it was actually quite a big deal, because someone in Spain read my website and she said, hey, whatever you're going to produce, I want to help you get it published in Spain. And it got published, and I went to Spain to do a book tour. It was just months before Facebook started also. And it was really amazing, because I was this woman living in a big body, telling the world, I love my body, I think I'm wonderful, and I'm not gonna do a diet, because I want to enjoy my life today. And I cannot do a diet right now, because diets really made me miserable. And I have the right to just be happy today, you know, and fat is not a problem. Fat just sits in my body. That's not the problem of my life. One day I'll have to, that's what I used to say, one day I'll lose weight because of health reasons, but not now. And, you know, now, 13 years later, when I look at some videos of those days, and I look at myself, in my big body, just seriously loving and enjoying who I was, and telling the world we should all have the right to live this reality. I'm so proud of her, because you guys have to remember that back in those days, we didn't know body positivity. The term fat phobia didn't exist. Diet culture didn't exist. So it was really, I only knew me who was talking about these things. And the world really looked at me, you know, you could see it in the eyes of, really? You're not gonna do a diet? Really? You're just gonna stay that big? Family members were really also questioning me, like, what you're doing now is hiding behind that speech, just so that you don't have to lose the weight and do the diet, which is really what you have to do, because weight is your problem. That's it, you know. So it was quite, it was good that it was such an innate, real reality for me, because the world was definitely not ready for it. Definitely not Spain, and definitely not Latin America. So, but yeah, at the time I went back to live in Costa Rica, and after 4 years, one friend out of the blue offered me a sleeve gastrectomy. It's a bariatric surgery. And of course I said no. She's a doctor, a surgeon, and she said, well, you can do it for free. I can manage things so that you get it for free. Look it up on internet. It is not a gastric bypass. It's much less invasive. And then you'll see. And I said, okay. So I said to myself, hey, come on. She's offering you such a huge gift. At least give her an educated no, right? So I started looking for information. And then after a while, I said, wait a second. You're not even considering this. 5 years ago, you would have given your arm for this opportunity. And now that you don't care about it, it comes. Shouldn't you at least open to that possibility? I mean, yeah, you already know that being skinny is not going to make you happy. Being skinny is not going to bring the man of your dreams, or the, you know, the whatever people think they get when they lose weight. You already know that. So it's a matter of health. Why not? So I decided to go for it. And so since 2010, I live in a thin body. And indeed, nothing from which, nothing that was promised or what is promised to fat people that they get when they lose weight, I got, because indeed it's not, your body, however your body looks, doesn't give you your happiness. However, of course, there is thin privilege, and I started experiencing that for the first time of my life. And it's quite a nice feeling to, honestly, yes, the world does see you differently. Family members started seeing me with more respect. And it was really good that I had done such deep emotional work before this surgery happened, because it's huge. I mean, when you start seeing that even family members look at you differently because you're in a different body, it's painful. People who never really saw you as someone worth listening to, all of a sudden see you as worth listening to or dating also. But that was in my 30s, and I was too busy also, not only living my life and being very happy and single and being very adventurous, but I was also dealing with a lot of emotional things from my family. So the whole body issues conversation, I put it on the side because I was focused on other things. And now comes 2020. I decide to republish the book for the third time. And I only decided to publish it because I wrote a second book. It's called Queen of Rejection. And, and I said to myself, well, if you're going to publish the second book, why not do a third publication of The Heaviest Weight, get it in English out there so that you can publish, the second. So it was really more like an intuitive thing of, let's just get it back out there. What I never expected, we published it in October, and what I never expected would happen when I would open to talking about these issues about body positivity, etc. in 2020, was that, first of all, the world has progressed so much when it comes to this conversation. The fact that we now have the term fat phobia is just, it helps explain so much when you're having the conversation, the body positivity movement. Guys, I mean, back in those days when I was a 20-year-old, what I would have given to see a model in a big body, just representation. We know how important that is. So here I go, in 3 months ago, 2 months ago, I publish again. And then I realized that I was actually not educated enough to have this conversation at the level that it's being had right now. People are really talking from a completely different terminology. There's the HACE movement, health at every size. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's really a wonderful approach to psychology, to eating, to nutritionists. And well, just the term, right? When I heard it, health at every size. What do you mean? Because first of all, what they say is that you can be healthy at any size. And here comes like a big aha moment where I go like, 1 second. So I realized that back in the day when I was saying one day I'll have to lose weight because of health, I realized now in 2020, no, Mariana, you didn't have to lose that weight back then. That was your diet culture mentality, which tells you that you have to be thin in order to be healthy, which was that was your force back then, your stimulation. And it's been mind-blowing because I've had to completely go back and realize how all of these years I've still kept so many thoughts in myself, within myself, that are not only fat phobic, but it's more like institutionalized fat phobia, internalized fat phobia. You know, it's not the obvious kind, because, you know, I love my body. I live quite happily, and I see bodies in the street very differently, but it's more like in very subtle things. And for example, back in those days, my blood was extremely healthy. My body was extremely healthy. So no, I didn't have to lose weight. Which also meant I watched this movie Fatitude. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I really recommend it. And after I finished watching this movie, I had to turn to my partner and say to him, you know what? If they offered me that surgery today, I would not do it. And it was the first time in 11 years that I say something like that. It doesn't mean that I regret it, but it really made me realize that I've been buying into all of these misconceptions of diet culture that have still kept me enslaved to the diet culture, for example, nowadays I stress all the time about not gaining weight. Why? Because it's healthy to stay in a thinner body. And now I'm realizing that's also not true. Not necessarily. Bodies come in all shapes. And, you know, in this movie Fatitude, for example, they say, if Oprah Winfrey, the most powerful woman in the world, hasn't been able to get her weight in order, the woman that has absolutely everything available to her, couldn't it be true that bodies just are differently, and some bodies are meant to have bigger percentages of fat than others? And isn't that normal? So it's been really mind-blowing to me to be 42 years old, 13 years after I published this book, thinking of myself as a specialist of body positivity. I know it, you know, it's all, I wrote about it back when no one was writing about it. And now I realize, no, Mariana, the world has educated itself, has progressed, and now it's you who has to catch up with where the discussion is at. And it's actually quite exciting to me, because, you know, it doesn't happen that often where it's you who has to educate yourself in order to be able to be at the level of where the conversation is at, or at least it's new to me. And well, I'm quite grateful about that. And you know, it's so now what I'm trying to do is get all the information I can. I'm educating myself. I'm finding all these amazing influencers, dietitians that work with intuitive eating, and really learn from zero. You know, I know that in the States, the conversation is in such a progressed level. It's up here, you know. It's actually quite wonderful because you guys are leading the world in it. But in Latin America and in Costa Rica, in Central America, in Spain, in Italy, this conversation is still starting, you know. And what I'm realizing is that my story is making people share their stories. So with this third publication, we've been having bloggers and people who are not in the body positivity world read the book. And what happens when they write their review is that it's actually like if they come out of the closet with their own story. And I'm finding out that the book then has a purpose of sort of introducing people into the possibility of, hey, you can be happy in your body right now. And it does something
Mariana,
to
your
yeah.
time is up.
Ah,
Do you want to
okay.
wrap up with any like last words or anything?
No, I just welcome you guys to read The Heaviest Weight. It's on sale in Amazon, on Barnes and Noble. and I'm available to keep the conversation alive if anyone is interested.